there would have been substantial questions which needed to be answered and substantial scrutiny which is required of the government, not just about the pandemic, but of course the range of issues arising from it, as well as broader issues, including those that will be raised by my Deputy Leader, Richard Marles, at the National Press Club at lunchtime today, relating to defence matters and procurement issues. The fact is that we need Parliament to meet. Parliament's scheduled to meet on the 24th of this month, and we are again today reiterating that the government needs to put in place measures that ensure that we can meet. We're prepared to be flexible on these matters, but we do need to meet because there's a range of questions that need answers. First of all, of course, aged care and the federal government's responsibility for it. Now, the Minister, as well as the acting Chief Medical Officer, will be appearing before the Senate COVID Committee today, but we would like for there to be further scrutiny about the range of issues, including why weren't the lessons learnt from Newmarch, which occurred months ago in New South Wales? Why is it that there hasn't been adequate training across aged care facilities about the use of PPE, personal protective equipment? Why is it that there hasn't been a national audit of all nursing homes, aged care facilities about access to personal protective equipment? The issue of paid pandemic leave. Why is it that now we're responding to paid pandemic leave after there's been community transmission, whereas the point of paid pandemic leave and why we've been calling for it for some time was to prevent community transmission? The issue of the COVID app. Why is it that it isn't really playing any role in being able to trace those community transmission issues? The Ruby Princess issues and the Commonwealth's role in that. Importantly, going forward, what's the government's plan for job creation? How do we deal with the fact that the government has said there'll be 240,000 additional unemployed people between now and Christmas? What's the government's plan going forward to deal with those issues? And of course, today as well, there may well have been some questions about the fact that Concetta Fierravanti-Wells, who played a role in developing the Coalition's aged care policy prior to its election in 2013, has written a scathing report to the Royal Commission, raising a whole series of questions about aged care, the need for reform and the need for proper scrutiny. All of these issues need to be dealt with by the Parliament. And that's why Parliament should meet in August. We've been flexible in the past. In the previous meetings were conducted safely. There's no indication that there was any spread, of course, of or transmission resulting from those parliamentary sittings that were held earlier this year. We do need to take the appropriate medical advice, which is why both the Chief Medical Officer and the ACT Medical Officer are involved in the committee with the respective managers of the Parliament, including the Speaker and the President of the Senate. Happy to take questions. Sure. Oh, look, on the WA border issue, I was and am with Mark McGowan. I was not with Clive Palmer or Scott Morrison, who ran a political campaign against Mark McGowan's government, just like they ran a political campaign against Anastasia Palaszczuk's government. Apparently it's okay for Liberal states to have closed borders in Tasmania and South Australia, but Queensland, with an election looming, was singled out, and of course WA was singled out. One of the questions to be asked of the Prime Minister in terms of accountability is why is it that the Attorney-General, who is WA-based, as well as the Prime Minister, said they had no alternative but to support Clive Palmer's High Court challenge last week, but this week have reversed that position? How is it possible that both those things are okay? Either last week the government was simply wrong when it said that it had no choice, or they've got some other advice saying that it's okay for them to pull out of their support. I think that I have been supportive of all state governments when they have made recommendations or decisions, whether it be Gladys Berejiklian in the New South Wales-Victorian border issue or whether they be other state governments.